Shall we begin with Elizabeth Long? So, what did she see?
So with Elizabeth Long, she was coming from Brick Lane, going through Hanbury Street to the market, and she said that she heard that brewer's clock at 5:30 when she was going by 29 Hanbury Street, and that's when she saw a couple. Now, when she saw that couple, so that would, and then she continued on. And so remember, there's Albert Kadash that said that at 5:15 in the morning, he went in the backyard at 27 Hanbury Street, and he heard someone at that spot in 29 Hanbury Street say no. So then Kadash went in and then back out, and then he heard that commotion again. So that was around 5:20. So I've heard before that, well, maybe Elizabeth Long was not correct. Maybe she heard 5:15. Well, what happened is Elizabeth Long, she, when she gave, was talking about the man, she was saying that that man, she gave details like the hat that was brown. So sunrise was 5:25 on that day, September 8th, 1888. So if it was true that it was 5:30, that's what she said, she would be able to see them in better detail. But what some experts are saying is to match it up with Albert Kadash seeing it at 5:20 or hearing that noise at 5:20, then she was mistaken. It would have been darker, much darker. And I'm not sure if she would have seen anything that had a brown hat or something like that. But what happened is then when Albert Kadash, he left, but 27 Hanbury Street is on the commercial roadside as opposed to the other side. So he would have just left and turned right. He may not even looked left to see if there was a couple there. So my contention is Elizabeth Long, she told them, she said that they asked her, have you ever seen any people there? And she said it was common. She said she always saw a couple at that location. And it wasn't in front. I mean, the assumption, when I hear people say that the couple was right in front of the door of 29 Hanbury Street. But that door, when you see the picture, is on the left-hand side. And she said that the couple was a couple yards towards where she came from. So what's that street? So, and then another report said that they were next to the shutters. So that's almost between 29 and 31 Hanbury Street. So they were not exactly right at that spot. So they were a little bit to the right, and it was commonplace for there would be couples to be there. My contention is that Albert Kadash absolutely heard at 5:15 and 5:20 heard the attack and the murder taking place, and that Elizabeth Long was walking by at 5:30 and saw a different couple because she could identify them, and then continued. Because remember when Albert Kadash said that when it was 5:31 when he was on the street and he was right next to the church, Christ Church. So they would not have even seen each other. So, in my contention is that she may not very even have seen the right couple. Now she claimed that she recognized her from the mortuary, but again, you have a live person with their eyes, talking, and then a dead person with eyes closed. That right there, just what we were talking about with the eyewitness testimony. I could doubt that quite a bit.
And of course, she did say, didn't she, that because the coroner was a bit dubious about why weren't you more suspicious of seeing a couple out at that time of the morning, and she almost, well, not snapped at him, but almost laughed at him, saying, "Well, I see couples out there all the time," so it wasn't any surprise to her.
Exactly. And then and also, I mean, her life was always go to the marketplace. So usually, I'm convinced that she knew what time it was when she's going to the marketplace and when she leaves home every morning. That was just kind of a pattern. So I'm convinced that she knew, and she even said she was convinced that it was the 5:30 clock at the brewer's clock. So I'm convinced that she did not see the right person. She saw somebody, but while she saw it, Jack the Ripper was murdering Annie Chapman.
Do you think so? Do you think with Kadosh? Do you think his timing is reliable? Do you think he might have got the timings wrong?
Well, think about it. Both of them, they're both doing their thing, going to work. I think they're both know what time it is. Kind of like when you're waking up every morning doing the same thing. That there's, he didn't say that he was late. Kind of like I think when we talk about Charles Cross saying that he was late when he left. But in this case, he didn't say anything about it. He just said that it was 5:15 when he did this. So could it be? Well, again, this is it could be, and absolutely, and maybe she did see the Jack the Ripper with Annie Chapman, but to me the evidence shows to the contrary that if you accept that Elizabeth Long was dead accurate, you have to accept that Elizabeth Long was dead wrong with her assessment of that clock. So, or she's correct all the way through. So is Albert Kadash. They're all both correct. I mean, and that both Elizabeth Long knew it was 5:30. Albert Kadash knew it was 5:15, 5:20. That is absolutely okay. We can accept that they know what they're doing every morning because they do every Monday through Saturday. So one way is you have to accept that they're wrong at certain spots twice with both of them, or the other one is they're correct all the way through. And it's just that she just saw the wrong people. And now remember that when you look at the police officials, you don't hear about Elizabeth Long anymore. You don't hear about Anderson talking about Elizabeth Long, or you hear about. I mean, again, when you hear the other police officials say that nobody ever saw the murderer. So in this case, they didn't embrace Elizabeth Long's testimony like lots of people today do.
And of course, the other thing about seeing someone at the mortuary is, I mean, I've had the experience of this myself when I've been to visit someone in a funeral home, and it doesn't look like the same person. And this is someone I'd known well all my life actually, but it just didn't look. I thought that's not her.
Yeah. So again, I could be completely wrong, but I'm just looking at, well, what if we assume that everybody was accurate in their timing? Then it does kind of fit that they just saw the wrong people, so.
And of course, Elizabeth Long, she didn't see the face of the man, did she? So she only heard him say to the woman, "Will you?"
Right, right. And then that he was a foreigner, and I think that's usually that term meant Jewish back then. And then, but she did say that his face was dark, and so that would be another thing where it's got to be light enough to realize his face is dark, because if it's dark out, everybody's face is dark. And also, when you look at the MO of Jack the Ripper, we're talking silence. It was stealth mode all the way through. I mean, with Mrs. Green and Mr. Perkins, with the Nichols murder, they heard nothing. And so with Annie Chapman, John Davis, he and the missus heard nothing. And then even Mrs. Mortimer, when we're talking about Elizabeth Stride and James Brown, that eyewitness testimony there, they heard nothing. And James Brown heard the police right after that. And then, so it's like this, the MO of Jack the Ripper was stealth. And Elizabeth Long said that they were talking loudly. So, which doesn't match what Jack the Ripper would have been doing. And then so in this case, it would be darkness. And so if 5:25 was sunrise, to me, he's working before 5:25. And that's what would have happened if it was 5:15. Oh, and then think about this is that person, whoever was there, took the uterus with him. So when he's going down the street, if he gets stopped by the police, that right there is absolute conviction. Meaning, oh, I got bloody because I work at a slaughterhouse or something like this. I cut myself. What's the uterus? So so right there, stealth is priority here.
And of course, this is the thing, isn't it? Because I mean, taking it that if Kadosh did hear the murder taking place in the yard, and Elizabeth Long's walking past at 5:30, well, that means that he's actually in the area as it's getting light and as people are starting to move through that street. So that's quite cool and calculating.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then so who knows what he did after that? Where he went? Did he kind of quickly hide out somewhere? It's amazing what happened. As in, every time stealth mode, nobody sees a thing or hears a thing. It's really, to me, that's impressive. That stealth mode of this killer.
And of course, Elizabeth Long, I mean, in the greater scheme of things, uh, her test or what she sees isn't that important, because unless, of course, there's going to be an ID parade, and she's able to say, yeah, that's the man I saw. But aside from that, she's important. She might establish a time that she was still alive at, she might not.
Yeah.
But as I say, in the greater scheme of things, it's not that important.